A pleasant to everyone. I am Zenaida Bantilan, Bantilan 3A, and today we're going to discuss the first chapter of legal aspect in tourism and hospitality, which is the introduction. In this topic, we are expected to identify the different kinds of law relevant to the tourism, travel, and hospitality industry, explain the concept of tourism law, enumerate important sources of tourism law, and give examples of application of tourism law. So first, let's define what is law. In this general and abstract sense, it is the science of moral laws founded on the rational nature of man that governs his free activity for the realization of the individual and social end of life under an aspect of mutual conditional dependence. In a specific and concrete sense, it is defined as a rule of conduct, just, and obligatory, promulgated by a legitimate authority out of common observance and benefit. So now let us discuss about the kinds of law. The different kinds of law are classified as to purpose and as to the scope. But first, let us go to the as to purpose. The first one is the substantive law, a law that creates, defines, and regulates rights, or which regulates the rights and duties which give rise to a cause of action. These are the set of law that governs how members of a society are to behave. The second one is the adjective law, a law that provides the method of aiding and protecting certain rights. It deals with the procedure to be adopted in order to enforce a right and is accessory to substantive law. And now let's go to another classification, which is as to scope. The first one is the general or public law, a law that applies to all the people of a state or to all of the particular class of persons in a state which equal force and obligation. Examples are criminal law, a law dealing with crimes and their punishment as well as the procedures for that. Another one is the international law, a body of rules or principles of action governing the relationships between states. And another is the political law, a law regulating the relationship sustained by the inhabitant of a territory to the sovereign. And another part of the as to scope law is the special or the private law, a law which relates to particular persons or thing of class. An example of it is the civil law, the mass of precept which determines and regulates those relations of assistance, authority, and obedience existing among members of a family, and those which exist among members of a society for their protection of private interest. Another is the maritime law, the law dealing with the commerce by the sea, involving the regulation of ships and harbors and the status of the seamen. There are different laws in the sea because oftentimes there are the borders that are giilugan. And last example of this is the mercantile law, the law of commercial transaction derived from the law of merchant, which includes commercial papers, insurance, and other type of agency. In general, mercantile law set forth the rights, responsibilities, and liabilities of all parties involving in business events. So, before we dive into our topic, first let me ask the question, why do we need to study the tourism law? Now let's go to the concept of law. But first, let's define what is tourism. Tourism is defined as the custom or practice of traveling for pleasure as well as the promotion by establishment of countries to attract the tourist. The World Tourist Organization defines tourism as the activity of persons traveling to and staying in a place outside their usual environment for not more than one consecutive years for leisure, business, and other purposes. So now let's go to the tourism law. Tourism law may be defined as a body of rules or principles of action which deals with the regulations, authority, relations, and obedience among members of a society involved in tourist travel and accommodation. It includes persons traveling from place to place for pleasure, which is a tourist, and business establishments or persons engaging in the occupation of providing various services for tourists. Importance and application of tourism law. Today's society has evolved wherein business establishments engaged in tourism have been in the food service, hotel service, and transportation service, travel and tour operation, event management, and even medical tourism, among others, all for the interest of gratification, happiness, amusement, and entertainment of people traveling from place to places. All things being considered, it will not be denied that there are now various or even millions of commercial transactions involved in tourism. In addition, numerous regulations are being imposed by different government agencies in order to promote tourism development for national interest. Hence, there is a need to study the different principles and stages governing tourism development. This lesson or this book will deal with the various laws governing Philippine tourism, including the various agencies involved therein. It will also provide current situations existing in the tourism, travel, and hospitality industry which may be analyzed, interpreted, and resolved applying existing jurisprudence and legislation. So now let us tackle to the sources of law relevant to the tourism industry. The first one is of course the Philippine Constitution or Sandigang Batas. It is the fundamental law of the land to which all other law must conform. All other laws in the country must conform to the Saligang Batas because if dili, may mo na siya kanang unconstitutional. Therefore, all laws in the land must not violate the Philippine Constitution. The second one is the status or legislative enactment. It is the written will of the legislative department rendered authentic by certain prescribed form and solemnities prescribing rules of action or civil conduct with respect to persons, things, or both. Examples of this are the Dangerous Act, the Public Service Act, and many more. The third source is the judicial decision or jurisprudence. This refers to the decision of the Supreme Court in interpreting the law of the Constitution. Number 4 is the custom. It is the rule of conduct which is in given place among given group of people has been followed for a appreciated time. An example of this is kanang tribo nga na sila'y tradition or something nga gipasa from generations to generations. So, pwede na siya gamiton as a source sa mga law. And then, the fifth one is the other sources refers to the decision of foreign tribunals and opinion of textbook writers. So, usahay mutanaw punta sa kanang naay mga decision sa mga foreign nga pwede na to gamiton as a source. So previously I asked, why is there a need to study tourism law? So since we've done about this topic, we have 4 answers to this. First, it is to protect the right of the travelers and the tourism workers. So, unsay naa sa travelers that we need to protect them? Why the law protects them? It is because travelers is the heart of the tourism industry. Therefore, they have the rights, and the workers also have the rights and benefit that comes in working in the tourism industry. Second is to preserve the tourism resources for the future generation can enjoy. It is important for the reason na if dili ma-preserve ang mga resources, maybe in the long run, mga guba siya nga dili na ma-enjoy sa future generation. And third is to provide better tourism services. We have laws that provide the standards on how we should cater and what should we receive. And we know that in the tourism industry, that is very important. Lastly is to promote growth of tourism industry. In terms of the Philippines, if we can entice or persuade foreigners to our country, it can help in the economy of the Philippines and also help with the opportunity of our country. So that is the answer to that question.